Maybe we hold up our mugs because it connects to the question. I didn't know you'd have yours for the interview. Okay. Welcome to Unleashed Learning TV and radio for our wonderful podcast listeners. Hello, podcast listeners. Now, if your school is committed to ensuring teaching and learning is its number one priority, and you're looking for ways to ensure your leadership team are instructional leaders supporting this commitment, this is the episode for you. Now, Mark Brooks is the principal at Roleystone Community College, which is the largest district high school in Western Australia. That's a big place. Mark's going to share with you the ways he's an instructional leader across the school, how he supports his school's Unleashed Learning journey by modeling the system, and he's going to give you things you and your team can do now to ensure you're instructional leaders rather than the managers of people. We can't wait to get the party started. Here we go. So, Mark, welcome to Unleashed Learning TV.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
So, Mark, what you know, we've talked about this, is we work with really innovative schools and we work with innovative leaders, present company connected to that conversation. And one of the things that leaders have said to us a lot is working to move the school to good to great. One of the challenges can be getting the leadership team on the same page when it came to teaching and learning, the same, from our language, mission, vision, and system, but also ensuring that they're instructional leaders rather than just the managers of people. And then we were doing Leadership Academy 2, and you shared some things that you were doing. And I thought for sure the audience that we've got and the people we work with would love to hear your thinking behind some of the things that you're doing. Thank you for being here for this.
No, you're welcome.
Okay. I'm guessing, as a principal, just guessing, there's a million things on your plate.
Yep, one or two things at a time, yes.
Okay. With all the things on your plate, you are focusing on instructional leadership. So I'm curious, what are you doing with everything else you've got to do when your staff is with you that they see you as an instructional leader? Can you give us a few examples of what that looks like?
Yeah, sure. Look, the idea of being an instructional leader, you often, it's what you're selected to be a principal for, or what you're selected to be in leadership positions for. But we often joke about the fact that your job gets in the way of being an instructional leader. So waiting for times to have opportunities to explicitly role model instructional leadership, it just doesn't happen. So it has to come through in everything that you do. So we have a given within our school, which is role modeling of positive behaviours, which fits in beautifully with the Unleashed Learning system. And so in everything that we do, we look to role model the positive behaviour that we're wanting to see. As a leader, every interaction that you have with a student needs to role model the sorts of interactions that we want to see in the classroom. When you're at an assembly with students, we want to role model the things that you would like to see in front of a classroom. When you are meeting with staff or doing walkthroughs in classrooms, you want to role model the things that you would like to see in a classroom. And then when you do have the opportunities to have staff together in staff meetings or in professional learning sessions, then you can more explicitly look to role model the things as a part of the system to be able to make it so that, you know, the staff can see the links between what you're doing and what we're hoping that they're doing in the classroom.
What you said, I'm thinking it through, is not only role modeling, but you're wanting the staff, your teaching team, your leaders to be seeing the same stuff that the system you're using. You want to see that everybody's part of that and they see that you're doing it too.
Sure. You know, if we want students and staff to build positive relationships, then as a leader, you can't walk through the school and not build positive relationships with people and expect that others will do as you say, but not as you do.
Fantastic. So my next question for you is that what you're talking about is, from an instructional leadership standpoint, you're modeling what you're, from an Unleashed Learning perspective, what your new and experienced teachers are learning about. And you decided that the staff room was going to be your Unleashed Learning classroom. So why did you choose that part of the Unleashed Learning system to say, I'm going for that?
Well, initially it was to try and make some sense of the system, because it's very much geared towards teachers and the idea of teachers in classrooms. And so for me to be able to answer some of the questions, I needed to sort of put myself into a space and say, well, where's my classroom? And the only thing that I could sort of think of is when I'm, if you like, teaching teachers, and we have professional learning and our staff meetings in the staff room. So that was the initial motivation. But then the feedback that I've been getting from staff over a few years now is that they don't like to be spoken at or talked at. They like to see others doing things, and they learn from seeing others do things. So in our staff meetings, we've had teachers come along and share things that they've done really well in the classroom, and other teachers look at that and they go, oh, wow, that's something that I could do in my classroom. So with the same sort of thinking, I figured I'll make the staff room my classroom and then see how I can, I guess, role model the things that we would like to see in a classroom, but within our staff room. And that's worked quite well. So,
And it made another school very jealous when you showed that to us, because people were like blown away by what you did, because you used the Unleashed Learning system and said, I'm the staff room's mine, and you started setting it up with that system in mind. So it really brings me to the next question about it. And your new and experienced teachers, they've learned the system for something like classroom, right? They've really learned, we call it the Unleashed Learning classroom, how to set that up. And you're modeling that in the use of your staff room. So you're really strategic. Can you tell us one or two specifics that you've done to set it up, which is mirroring what the new and experienced teachers are learning to do as well? I know there's a lot you've done, but just a few targets that you could tell us about.
restricting it to two is really difficult. So I'll hit you with three, but they're short ones. Okay. Yeah. So the first one is I wanted to create a board which I guess modeled the Unleashed Learning journey. On that board, we have the ship sailing from good moving to great, moving towards the destination, and sort of meandering its way through the board. And through the where it's traveling, it goes through the 6 keys. And the whole idea of that is so that people can see that we're on the journey, but also that we have teachers role modeling the different keys, and then we take photos. Or at our last exit interview for our leadership team, we've decided that we're going to put QR codes up there and link those to videos of teachers doing the things that so cool. Are really demonstrating the keys that we want others to be able to see. Because, as I said, teachers are more than happy to go and watch other teachers or see other teachers implementing what it is that we want them to be doing. So that's been received really well. The second one was a really simple one, but it came about from when we were talking about in the key of inclusion, students being able to see themselves as learners in a classroom. Teachers walk into the staff room, and schools are reasonably comfortable places, and teachers may not come to the staff room very often, and then all of a sudden we put them in there for a professional learning session or a staff meeting, and they can't necessarily see themselves learning in that space. So what we did is we took a photo of every staff member, and we've created a staff photo wall. Before they even start at the school now, we actually get them to send a photo of themselves. So when they walk in on the first day, they see their photo up on the wall, along with all of the other staff's photos. They see that they have their name on a pigeonhole. All of those things, they can see that they belong as a part of the staff at our school. And the third thing that we put in, we have a TV at the back of the room now, which it rolls through different messages and throughout the week. And it's sort of, people sit there and eat their lunch and sort of zone out watching these messages come through. And it's everything from when teachers' birthdays are to what's happening next in the school, to motivational quotes, to the ladies that are actually running those now putting in some funny quotes and things like that, just to sort of get people through the day as well. those three things are, I guess, modelling what we would like to see in the classroom best across the things that we've put in there. Yeah.
I have to ask one more because I was in there. How about the seating plan? So you're using the Unleashed Learning templates, the seating plan templates, and then you're also using seating charts. So which is also what the new and experienced teachers are learning. So you've taken that Unleashed Learning template. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, sure. I've tried to take it a little bit further because, some teachers are, especially some of our secondary teachers, are a little bit reluctant to use name tags and things like that on desks and so on. So I've always used different ways to be able to group students in class. So when our staff come into a staff meeting, they'll go to their pigeonholes and they'll essentially get a playing card out of the pigeonhole. And then they look at the tables and they go, oh, all of the aces are sitting here and all of the twos are sitting here and so on. And what I end up with then is on our round table, 6 people sitting around the round table, and the 2 aces of spades sit next to each other and the 2 aces of diamonds sit next to each other and so on. And so we end up with a deliberate and intentional grouping of staff. And sometimes that is staff working with the people who are in the same area that they normally work in, either in their same learning area or same year group at school. And sometimes it's about getting a cross section. So we might have some graduate teachers and more experienced teachers and secondary teachers and primary teachers and education assistants and so on, all in the same group. So that gives you the flexibility, because what you can do is you can start off with all the aces together, but then you can put all the hearts together. It just gives flexibility to move things around throughout the session, but in an adult way, rather than here's your name tag, find where you're sitting, you're placed here. And the staff seem to have responded much better to that.
Our last question is this. So maybe we hold up our mugs because it connects to the question. I didn't know you'd have yours for the interview. Okay. So you know that it's all about making learning stick. And it's not about the design of a classroom. It's about how that classroom's used in the ways you make learning stick for everyone, right? So my last question is, Mark, how are you using the staff room to make learning stick for everyone? It could be connecting to other keys or the metacognitive piece or the lifting the weights. How are you using it so that they're learning sticking in the session?
Aside from Unleash, what we've been trying to implement this year and the past couple of years is a positive behaviour program within the school. So in our staff room, we have a content wall, if you like, which is our positive behaviour system. And so that's the content that we're trying to get teachers to, I guess, recognise and work through. So similarly to the other Unleash wall, we have a positive behaviour wall, which shows these are the lessons that we're doing at this particular point in time. Here's some photos of the last lesson that we did and other teachers demonstrating that in their particular context within the school. Here's the messages that we want to get through, or the quotes, if you like, that we want the teachers to be taking, and the language that we want them to be taking into the classroom. So it refers to, I guess, the link between content on the walls and what it is, making that useful content on the walls, and the classroom being an extra teacher. And a lot of that teaching happens when we're actually not all there. People sit there eating their lunch and they see things on the walls or on the TV, or they don't see it, but eventually after looking at the walls for long enough, they see it. And that seems to be working quite well for us in that space.
But we talk about the it or it's of the lesson, the stuff you actually want to get to stick. And you said the positive behavioral work is the it's the stuff we want it to stick. So you're surrounding them with those key concepts and ideas or lessons or whatever the stuff is. So they're kind of immersed in it. And what I heard you say is, they come in for their lunch and they can't get away from it. It's everywhere. So it's almost like putting a fish in the fish tank. So they're swimming in the water of the content.
Yeah, I think of it more along the strategy for year 12 students of, if you put a poster on the back of the toilet door, then, if you sit there long enough looking at it, then you sort of remember it. from seeing it enough times, so very similar sort of idea.
My last part of that, and then we're just about out of time, but I know you're really strategic about with that seating plan and where the tables and chairs are. How are you using partners to make stuff sticky?
Well, I guess that depends. It depends upon what it is that we're teaching, and I guess getting people to engage with. So, for example, we've been doing some reviews related to literacy, and so we had the need to be able to have people who are at the same level, teaching at the same level in the school, sitting with each other. So at that particular point in time, they end up getting grouped together, and so they can talk with the same language and come to an outcome. And then the next time that we had them together, we actually had some of our graduate and newer teachers working with more experienced teachers, so that we could get them to share ideas as well, because our new and inexperienced teachers come with some energy and some great new ideas, and our experienced teachers know what's worked in the past and what doesn't work, which is quite often really important. And so it gives us an opportunity to get some strategy moving forward in those spaces.
So you're really mindful of who those partners are, and then to create those opportunities for stickiness to happen based on who the students are. It's a great example of it.
In our leadership year 2 exit interviews, the 2 words that we're going to be focusing on are intentional and deliberate.
Yeah.
Because if everything that we're doing is intentional, then you're thinking about the reason why you're doing things, and you can answer some of those metacognitive questions that you have along the way to be able to reflect on your own teaching and how it's impacting upon students. So
it makes me think that intentional and plan for piece, that if they see the intentionality of what you're doing and the new and experienced teachers are thinking about their intentionality, that the system, that's how we get change to happen. It's just it's fantastic. So I'll leave you with this, Mark. You don't know this, maybe I told you this, but you sent us pictures of your staff room, your Unleashed Learning classroom. And we have our advisory group for Unleashed Learning. They're 2 retired professors that are in San Diego, so completely different side of the world. And you gave me permission to share it, so I shared it. And one of the professors said, how lucky is the staff to have a leader who sees himself as an instructional leader. That was the email I got. How lucky for the staff. So I think we're lucky to get to talk to you, because people learn from the ways you're doing that. So Mark, thank you so much for the work you do, my friend.
Appreciate it, William.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
Be well.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
So you know the drill. We'd like to hear from you. Now, after the episode, we'd love for you to jump over to the magical land called Unleashed Learning and add your comments to the question. It's this: what's one thing that Mark is doing as an instructional leader that you and your team could add to the work that you do? And while you're there, if you're trying to turn your school from good to great, grab our free ebook, which is the 5 roadblocks that stop good schools from becoming great schools and how to break through now. As always, thank you so much for the work you do to make learning stick for everyone.